Okay, so maybe I was a little premature. Mattel Creations seems to have dropped the ball. Again.
Hey, kid. Yeah, you. Everyone thinks toys are fun, but this is a channel for adults. Yeah, I said it. If you're under the age of 18, go get your parents before you come in here. If you're under the age of 13, scram! Let's get on with the show.
If you're a Motu Origins fan, by now you probably know that the Mattel Creations exclusive Koldar figure was up for pre-order on Friday briefly, less than an hour, and somehow managed to sell out again, just like all of the other Mattel Creations exclusives that have been out there. It's not as simple as a limited supply. Let me explain. The last time Mattel Creations put up an exclusive figure for pre-order or pre-sale, which we'll get to, it was the fan-voted comic variant of Triclops, which is a great figure, great packaging, fair price, but it was available in very limited numbers, and there was another problem that even I managed to gloss over a little bit in my assessment of what occurred. For items like this, Mattel Creations has a limit of 5 per buyer. If we could, as a community, agree to be fair to each other and only order as many as we need for our personal collections, or as far as like helping others fill in if they're working or something like that, I can understand that. But we all know that in the toy collecting community especially, this is not something that people are going to do. People will buy as many as they can, resell them at higher prices, and screw everybody when there's a limited number of items available. I have to assume that just like with Triclops, they've already manufactured a certain number or ordered a certain number of Koldar figures, and they'll be coming pretty quickly. And if that assumption remains, to ring true, then I understand that there's going to be a limited number available. But what I don't understand in either of these cases is, number one, why Mattel insists on not putting these back up for another order round, even just one, or staggering the numbers to allow people to get them at different times or different time zones. They've had multiple opportunities to look at the numbers and figure out that this model they're using just isn't working. One way of stifling this really predatory approach that people tend to take with reselling and so forth would be to limit the number of items you could order to 2, even 3. I'm not saying people shouldn't be able to get multiples, but 5 seems very high for an individual person. Most collectors would be happy with 2. One to keep completely sealed in the box, another to open and enjoy. That's kind of the collecting standard. And simply by virtue of lowering this, maximum number of orders that one can make for one of these kinds of figures, the lanes kind of open up so that people can get the ones they want, by a pretty big margin. And I don't understand why no one is thinking this through on that end. If the concern is for legitimate retail businesses, then there should be a separate way for them to buy, quote, in bulk or larger numbers. This should not be an even playing field for collectors and retailers alike. I don't understand why this is being done. It is not up to us as a community to police reselling and all of these other things. You need to be able to protect your consumers, and they're just not doing that. Whether they feel they don't have the infrastructure to do that, or they're simply not thinking it through, or they just don't care, remains to be seen. I have a feeling it's a little bit of not thinking it through and not caring, because for them, money is money. Remember, Mattel Creations takes your money up front, meaning they're getting the money right away, and then when they're ready to ship it, they ship it. So they're making the interest on all of these orders. They couldn't seem to care less about where that money is coming from and who these toys are going to, which is a real shame. By and large, Mattel has shown that they have love for the fans in terms of what they are releasing. My concern here is how they are releasing these items to the public. For example, Koldar was announced as something that was coming this year at last year's PowerCon during their panel. That's awesome. I was there. Well, by there, I mean I watched the live stream, but I was like, oh, cool, this is something different. They're taking a character from the cartoon, turning him into an Origins figure. I liked the idea. And yes, I did get one during, the pre-order. I got lucky. I was in the right place at the right time, and I got lucky. Lots of other people didn't. When I went to Retropalooza Houston this weekend, I talked to collector after collector that was completely out of luck. That's not cool. All they would have had to do to avoid that sort of a thing is to promote Koldar just a little bit prior to the, release, the listing going up for sale. I have no evidence that they did that. It just came up. I found out through a third party, aka the Fraternia Twitter account, which I happen to have on notifications. Had I not seen that Twitter post at the time when it was going, I would have lost out too, because I was going to be on the road. And that was the case for a lot of people that I met at the convention. Other folks in different time zones, different countries, people that work, whatever the case may be, they were completely out of luck. The entire listing and the way it was done was designed, whether intentionally or not, to screw people over. Mattel, you need to pull your head out of your ass and really start to consider the means by which you're releasing these things. Releasing exclusive figures at the prices that you are by itself is perfectly okay. And I do want to commend Mattel Creations for fair pricing, for decent product the majority of the time thus far. As long as we're not talking about PowerCon exclusives that they release after the fact because of a shipping shortage. What I'm talking about are the exclusives that only end up on Mattel Creations and weren't available anywhere else. Most of those products, good offerings, fair price. I'm happy with that. However, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. And the way you're releasing these figures, not promoting them properly, doesn't work this way. And you're not going to continue to get our support if you keep doing this. Limit the number of figures that an individual can buy. Create avenues for legitimate businesses to resell these items. How and why isn't something we should have to tell you. How is on you. Why is because you want the money, but you should be able to do it in somewhat of an ethical manner. Right now, you're not doing it. What you're doing is like, let's put this out. It'd be cool for the fans, but we don't care. Once we release it, we can say, well, we released it. If you didn't get it, sorry. Not the way to do business, Mattel. You're really starting to get under my craw. This is not the way you do things, Mattel. You should know better by now. Learn from your mistakes and learn from the mistakes of your so-called peers. What little goodwill you have left is not going to last long if you don't take a moment and listen. All of that said, it should be a very simple proposition for you to take these pre-orders in waves. Take the amount you've already manufactured, take that pre-order, wait a couple days or a week or more, take another batch. Be transparent about the time frames in which you're fulfilling these and how many you have to sell. Do something to show that you understand that people are in different time zones, different countries, different budgets and needs. If you really want to get these out to as many people as possible while maintaining an exclusive stranglehold on some of these figures, show some compassion and empathy, which I know is really hard for a corporation to do because a corporation is not a person. But try, would you? If you did get a Koldar, awesome. I'm happy for you. If you got 5 Koldars and you're reselling them, you are a piece of trash. Unless you're reselling them for the exact price you paid, in which case, hey, that's not the worst thing in the world. But guess what? No one does that. They're already on eBay for $50 to $100 or more, which is ridiculous, especially considering they're not even in hand. Mattel, don't encourage this horrible practice, and those that are making that practice happen, Just stop. You are not going to sell these at the prices that you are wanting to sell them for, and you're doing nothing but bringing down a community of people. You should be ashamed of yourself. And Mattel, you should know better. That's all I got. May all your card backs be straight, may all your grinds be merry, and may you be able to find anything you're looking for at any given time at a price you feel is reasonable, like the original retail price in the case of Koldar. Cheers. Special thanks to our patrons and members who you're seeing on the screen now. Thank you so much for your support. It really helps.